Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about No Rest for the Wicked. This is the new ARPG created by the devs behind the beautiful Ori and the Blind Forest with Moon Studios. Since early access launched last year, updates have been quite scarce on the game up to this point, but it looks like we're finally getting back with the new content update, The Breach. So whether you're a brand new player that hasn't heard of it before, or you already played the game and are just coming back for a little bit more, you've come to the right place. We're talking about what this game is about and all the content that came with this new update. And remember to hit that like button and subscribe to keep up to date on all the games you're not going to want to miss. No Rest for the Wicked has an extremely beautiful handcrafted world, as opposed to it being a procedurally generated world, which is really different from a lot of the ARPGs out there. With a much larger focus on the story, narrative, and unique atmosphere, this is one of the most standout features for me. How this world and game feels like an actively moving, living, and breathing painting. While the art direction takes on this very cool and almost silly looking aesthetic, in a world that is so serious, but it really holds its own. It's an interesting feeling when you're in such a beautiful area while getting absolutely obliterated by extremely difficult enemies. And that leads me into the difficulty and combat, because the new update, Breach, requires you to make a new character. That's what I did, and it was an instant reminder of how difficult this game really is. So be aware, there will be a little bit of a learning curve, and the enemies that you're going to encounter in this game are just no joke. Your combat is all about timing, with each encounter being very methodical and skill-based. You're definitely not just going to be blindly spamming abilities here, and you're usually going to be going up against like 3 to 4 mobs tops, instead of having a screen full of enemies you plan on mowing down like in a lot of classic ARPGs. You'll have speed and weight behind it, so you have to wait for these openings and time it properly for those attacks to actually land. It has a very Souls-like inspired combat system, with the enemies forcing you to evade their attacks, block, parry, the whole nine. There is a stagger bar in the game that's actually turned off by default, so one of the first things that you need to do is go into the options and turn that sucker back on. It's an absolute game changer. There's also roughly 8 moves per weapon, with over 100 weapons in the game, so that's a lot to take in here. But if you're more of one of them spellcaster type of people, they also have you covered with magic being an option here as well. Their goal is to create something very unique for this genre, and the rare combination and perfect marriage between the Souls-like and ARPG is really giving that a nice fresh twist. So that's my quick overview of what you're getting yourself into when you plan on jumping into this game. So let's move on and talk about what the new Breach update brought with it. So the Breach is a pretty widespread update. They pretty much touched on and improved every piece of the game. For example, there's a new updated campaign with 3 new main quest lines, expanded world building. There's also additional side quests, and this consists of 9 gameplay cutscenes, 18 new story scenes, and 3 full cinematics. We got new gear, brand new regions of the map to explore, new enemy types, new bosses. There's a hardcore mode, and for those of you that take part in that, good luck with that. As I said, it's a pretty big update, touching on just about everything. But as I touched on, the first thing in order to take part in this update is you will need to start a new character, with Moon Studios stating they decided to do this due to just how massive in scope this update really is, and that starting a fresh playthrough will be the best way for you to experience it. They added 2 massive zones to explore and continue our gameplay story, and these are so big that it pretty much doubles the already existing areas in the game. The first zone is Lowland Meadows, which is a beautiful sunlit area that's been ravaged by the plague, with the second zone being the Marin Woods. This is more of a deep foresty area that's been afflicted by blight, and you're going to be fighting off the woodland creatures that inhabit these woods. With these new zones come our 4 brand new campaign bosses, 9 new plague bosses, and 2 new enemy types. They also implemented updates on the already existing world, giving us some more secrets to unlock, even for the people that have already played through early access. Another nice update to No Rest for the Wicked is they added 2 brand new weapon types, these being the gauntlets and wands, and these are coming with all new runes and skills. The gauntlets are very much like fist weapons. They have extremely short range but attack very quickly, so if you're already rocking that dagger playstyle, this is going to fit what you're already used to perfectly. Because they're a bit shorter than daggers, they're going to come with very powerful ranged runes to help you take on your enemies from a distance. The wands are giving us an option to be more of an agile spellcaster. They're one-handed, unlike the staves, so you're actually able to use a shield alongside it. Just like the staff though, this does scale with intelligence and comes with very fast movement and fast spellcasting runes to keep you as nimble as possible. They also added a second brand new safe area alongside Sacrament, the Marin Village. You can't fast travel or upgrade your weapons here, at least as of now, but there will be more vendors selling more resources for you to upgrade your gear. And one of the biggest changes that the Breach update brings is the new Pestilence System, and this is is very much reminiscent of the Diablo 4 Helltide zones. Any of these zones can be taken over by the Pestilence Plague, changing the look of the area and provides new enemy types than what we normally would see roaming in that area. You can check the map, and any area that's affected by this will be covered in this purple shroud. Once you come here, there's going to be a Pestilence bar, and when you start eliminating enemies in the zone, this bar is going to start to drain. At the end of this, you're going to face off against the boss you already faced throughout the story or side quests, and you're rewarded with a hell of a lot of loot, and you cleanse the area of that purple shroud. Itemization has also been touched on in a pretty big way. Now, any items that drop will be in your level range and will no longer be zone locked. This allows for a wider variety of gear and weapons to be used throughout your playthrough, since now you could see the same loot from earlier zones drop once more, with just the upgraded stats correlating with your correct level. On top of that, just about all the affixes on your items have been changed, and you're able to re-roll these stats if you find yourself sitting on gear that may have like 1 or 2 stats that don't really complement your build. Alongside that, you're now able to add enchantments to pieces of gear that don't already have that maxed out amount. We also have been introduced to a new item rarity called Masterwork. These items are obtained by combining 4 gems into common equipment, filling out all the gem slots, providing us another way to fill out our perfect builds. One of the more happily to note changes for me personally is with the new inventory management system. Gone are the days where we're consistently fighting for space and looking through items, as we now can stack up to 99 of each type of resource in your storage chests at your house, which allows us to store a hell of a lot more than we were able to before. And it doesn't stop there. The Breach is bringing even more to the table with an all new food rework, with them removing the cooldown after eating altogether and supplementing this with a new system that gives us a cap in combat. The amount of food that you can eat while in combat will be displayed by the background color slowly starting to fade away as you reach your cap. And weapon scaling adjustments have come into play as well, with all weapon scaling being a bit better with their corresponding stats. But they definitely hit this with some very light touches, so don't expect the game's difficulty to be changed up dramatically by any means. Using a shield and how that works have been changed up as well, since it no longer drains our stamina but is now going to deplete your poise instead. This is a very solid change, as I found myself consistently out of stamina. I was using everything in my kit and was always unable to use this shield properly when I actually needed it. Another quality of life update are these whisper stones, allowing us to teleport directly to our house, removing the annoyance of always having to hit sacrament first. On top of that, they also added a hardcore mode in the game, which every time I say it, it just makes me freaking cringe. Danger levels are now also available to us, so when you're exploring, you can now see specific danger levels that you're in, making it a bit more clear if you are in a place where you probably should think twice about and come back later to. And it just keeps coming, because with that, project wait timers, which originally received a lot of backlash from players, also received an update, allowing you to now upgrade your workers to reduce the time needed to complete your projects. But what are your thoughts on the Breach update and the changes that it brought to No Rest for the Wicked? I personally think that we're on the right path, and it just keeps getting better with every sweep of updates we get. Let me know in the comments if you've already played it or it's your first time seeing it. And by the way, I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and over the weekend, so stop by if you got nothing better to do, and I will see you in the next one. Toodles!